would you do to get your kids to read?
I've tried pleading. I've tried candy.
Food, TV.
Letting him stay up late.
It was heavy negotiations. We even had to have a contract.
Now you don't have to bargain or plead to get your kids to read. Just give them Sports Illustrated for Kids. Here's why.
It's exciting, so they're excited to read it.
Sports Illustrated for Kids is a fun magazine.
He's always reading and always asking us questions.
We have found Mark blooming with reading.
Kids love everything from the puzzles and posters to the sports stars, mazes, and games.
I like the trivia math questions because it helps me on my math skills.
I like Hot Shots because it tells about kid athletes.
They're excited to turn the page because of the fact that they can read about their hero as well as children their age.
Fun Facts Know and Tell is what Mark will use to stump Dad.
I like Buzz Beamer a lot because he's a goof.
Sports Illustrated for Kids is more than just fun, it's an education.
This opens up avenues to all sorts of educational values.
Sportsmanship,
Self-esteem.
Teamwork.
they're learning, they don't even realize it.
As a coach, it really helps the kids learn how to play the game.
Sports Illustrated for Kids should be in every classroom.
Call now and get a year's worth of Sports Illustrated for Kids for 4 monthly installments of $5.99. Save over 20% off the cover price. Your kids will love getting it in the mail with their name on it.
He's proud to have his name on. He feels like he's a part of something much bigger.
Give it to your children or grandchildren today.
Our granddaughter is 10 years old, and she insisted that we give her a subscription to Sports Illustrated for Kids because all the kids at school were talking about it.
Giving Sports Illustrated for Kids is a gift of learning, a gift for a lifetime.
So call now, use your credit card, and discover what millions of parents already know, that Sports Illustrated for Kids is the magazine that your kids will love.
Now that Mark is reading, I can't get him to stop reading.
My son is reading now because of Sports Illustrated for Kids.
We think reading is #1 in importance, and this is an easy way to start that process.
Sports Illustrated for Kids is an awesome magazine.
Scott Case has played a whale of a game today, putting the hits on. Out of the shotgun and 4 wide receivers again against the Cowboy nickel with Bates in the middle. Here's a pass in the flat, picked up by the Cowboys. Larry Brown may score at the 30.
The Dallas Cowboys have won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Will 1996 bring yet another Vince Lombardi trophy? 29 other NFL teams are out to stop them. The National Football League. No other professional sport has such compelling appeal. Witness the artistry. The intensity. The spectacle.
Marcus Allen dives over for the touchdown for Kansas City. His 100th career rushing touchdown.
Move over, James Lofton. You've just been passed by Jerry Rice in the record book.
And Dan Marino has the granddaddy of them all now. Most touchdown passes ever.
It's America's autumn ritual, stirring up passions that only a hometown fan can understand. I'm Peter King of Sports Illustrated, your host for the 1996 Detroit Lions Video Yearbook, featuring a retrospective of last year's season entitled Taking Flight, the story of the 1995 Detroit Lions. A pair of Lions classic segments, the Lions' greatest comeback, and a profile of Billy Sims. Plus, a look at today's Lions, the proven stars and those on the rise. How do they stack up against the defending Super Bowl champs? Let's take a look at the 1996 Detroit Lions.
Here's the pattern. Eternally optimistic Wayne Fonts watches his Lions hit bottom early with a series of last-second defeats.
Here we go, the game riding on this play perhaps. Craig steps up, gets away, fires for the end zone. Caught! Touchdown, Arizona!
Detroit sinks to 3-6.
Mitchell to throw. Oh, it's picked off! And that'll be a touchdown for Darrell Green, and the game's over.
Fonts reaches a new low. With his job in jeopardy, he jumps off the hot seat with a 7-game win streak. The Lions' late-season surge puts them in the playoffs. It's all part of the pattern.
The Detroit Lions perennially play in December like they're making a playoff push, which usually they are. And it's a sense of urgency they haven't had earlier in the year. Why does it happen? I don't know. The popular theories, my favorite theory, is that The Lions don't have as great a sense of urgency, don't have as tough a camp, as tough a practice regimen as some other teams do. So earlier in the year, they're not quite as calloused to playing real tough football as some other teams are. But obviously, in a 16-game season, you're going to pay in December for what you did in September, and that's happened to the Lions.
Whatever happens to the Lions in 1996 will happen without several key defenders, including Chris Spielman. Number 54 packed up his family and moved to Buffalo.
Chris Spielman was a locker room skeptic. He was a team guy all the way. He was a tireless worker. He was a guy who, to me, the Lions are going to have a very difficult time in replacing. The spirit probably as much as the guy on the field.
Now it's the other guys on the field whose biggest job will be to get to the quarterback.
You know, their sack level improved, obviously, late in the year versus early in the year, but still, this is a team that has been prone to give up the big games by other quarterbacks, and look at this division now. Eric Kramer is a 3,800-yard passer. You've got Warren Moon and Brett Favre threats to throw for 4,000. So, I mean, this is a division now that is pass-happy. And unless you're going to get consistent pressure on the quarterback and get really good play out of your secondary, it's going to be a long year for this team.
But no year could ever be as long as the one game the Lions played in Philadelphia last January. The hottest team in football got flash frozen in the playoffs.
What really hurt the Lions is that you had real responsible veterans like Lomas Brown openly questioning Scott Mitchell, openly questioning the coach, openly questioning the commitment of this team. Lomas Brown, obviously being in Arizona right now, he's not a guy who has to deal with it. But I think that Lomas Brown voices what a lot of people in that locker room think. And that's that how in the world can we be behind by 40 points to Philadelphia in the playoffs when we looked at film all week and we know that we're as good or better than they are. And I think that the key thing now is, can this team rebuild the faith in itself that has been shaken so badly by one of the worst losses any team has ever suffered? I think people are starting to look for a lot of flaws in Scott Mitchell because of what happened. I think the key thing, though, is to look at this guy and just say, hey, 2 years ago, this was a guy who had played 7 or 8 NFL games. Quarterback is a long maturation process. And last year, I think Scott Mitchell took a really big step. Now, next question is he going to be a big game quarterback? That's the thing he has to do right now. He's got 3 great receivers on this team, and I mean great, because I think the third one, Johnny Morton, can really be a great player in this league. He's put up the big numbers. He's going to put up big numbers this year. He's got to prove to Wayne Fontes and to the Lions and to their fans that he can win a big game in January.
One guy who has nothing to prove is the premier running back in the game. But after 7 seasons in Detroit, will being the best be enough?
I think the thing about Barry Sanders that maybe we take for granted sometimes is what a great guy he is and how he never complains and obviously how he's the most remarkable running back of our era. You sometimes wonder, because Barry shares so little of what's deep down inside him, you sometimes wonder, is there going to come a day when Barry Sanders says, I'm fed up with winning 9 games. I want to win 14 and I want to go to the Super Bowl. Problem is, in this era, in this day and age, the Lions, I don't think, are ever going to let this guy go. They'll franchise him. They'll make it impossible for him to move. Plus, if he goes to another team, to me, the cap commitment would be so heavy, it would almost screw up the other team's structure too much to be able for them to afford him. I just think this guy is going to be like Old Man River. He'll keep rolling for Detroit. He'll rush for 15,000 yards in his career, and he'll retire a Lion.
But unless Barry and the Lions make a serious run at a conference championship, at least one man won't retire as a Lion.
The Lions have been a very talented offensive team, and not as talented, obviously, on defense, but they've been a team that most people think is underachieved over the years. So I think the thing that Wayne has to do, Wayne has to be competitive with Green Bay, Wayne has to be a playoff coach, and Wayne has to hold off the charge of some pretty good young teams in his division like Tampa.
Players acquired from the draft, along with free agents Glenn Milburn and Michael Brooks, could help break the pattern the Lions have established. That would surely give Wayne Fontes yet another life.
As you can see, the Detroit Lions possess some impressive football talent. For the Lions, last year was a year of extremes, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. Let's take a look at this resilient team that appeared hopelessly out of the playoff picture after 9 games, then defied the odds with a dramatic fight to the finish, a fight that ended in Philadelphia.
There was a time back in October when no one in America would have predicted that the struggling Detroit Lions would ever make it to the playoffs. But come December, there they were, in Philadelphia and in the playoffs. They arrived as the hottest team in the NFL, riding a 7-game win streak. Advancing to the second round of the playoffs was the goal, but ultimately not the reality. A remarkable playoff run came to a chilling end on a frost-bitten afternoon in Philadelphia. Their 38 points matched the most ever in a playoff loss. But touchdowns by David Sloan, Ron Rivers, Johnny Morton, and Herman Moore were not enough for the Lions to move on. The loss was a bitter disappointment and a stiff test of their character.
This team has great character. Every team I think I've coached with the Lions have great character. We've drafted that way. I think this team learned that if it stays together, it does have the character to win it all.
With a quarterback coming of age, the Great Lakes offense became the league's top-ranked unit in 1995. An offense that took flight and broke every team record for total yards and points scored in a season. Beyond that, this was a team that survived a terrible start, broke out of a mid-season slump, and against all odds, took flight and made a dramatic late-season run that earned them a trip to the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. These movers, shakers, and record breakers have the character and the mental toughness to put the hard times behind them and prepare for the challenges of what is a promising future indeed. The 1995 Detroit Lions began their improbable season in Pittsburgh, where the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers converged to form the mighty Ohio. Inside Three Rivers Stadium, the Lions converged on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Herman Moore took the first steps toward his first All-Pro season with a 10-catch, 131-yard day.
Whoa, over the shoulder, Herman Moore. What a catch.
But the Lions took a step back, victims of a last-second field goal. The next week in Minnesota, 2 Lions on a collision course secured a Vikings win.
Let's go! One time! Back, long, down the sideline, Ismail, tip, Ismail, deflection to the 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Vikings. Brian McNeil and Benny Blades collided.
In their home opener, the Lions recorded 7 sacks and built a 17-6 lead.
39, Mitchell wants it over the middle, wide open, terrible.
Only to see fumbles and penalties lead to another 3-point loss in the final minute. And another long night for Wayne Fontes. So what better way to put an end to an 0-3 start than on a Monday night against the defending Super Bowl champion 49ers? Of course, there was plenty to talk about. Mostly how it was a Monday night mismatch and how the undefeated 49ers should bury the winless Lions. Well, it might have made sense on paper, but these were no paper Lions.
Mitchell back, pumps once, goes for Herman Moore, up Moore, got it! Touchdown Lions, what a grab! In between Eric Davis and Merton Hanks. Herman Moore for the touchdown. Holy mackerel, what a grab.
San Francisco answered with a touchdown to tie the score at 24. But the Lions seized the opportunity to win in the final minutes when quarterback Scott Mitchell calmly directed a 15-play, 59-yard drive to set up Jason Hansen's fourth field goal of the game.
Hansen to try to give the Lions the lead. He's pulled it, but he got it through. Holy mackerel. What a thriller on Monday night. Boy, I tell you what, you like football, you don't get them any better than this football game tonight. 27-24, the Lions have beaten the Super Bowl champions. How about it, 2 years in a row? Last year it was down in Dallas.
Along with the win came a large dose of confidence that carried over to the following Sunday. The visiting Cleveland Browns had no answers on defense, especially when the question was, how do you stop Barry Sanders?
All the way to Barry, got room 30, 35, 40, midfield, Barry off to the 40, 75 yards, Barry Sanders.
The Lions built a 31-3 lead before winning by 18, but they didn't win again for 3 weeks until they returned home to pound the Packers. All 3 Lions touchdowns came courtesy of Herman Moore.
And we'll take it to the end zone. Touchdown, Lions.
The 24-16 win restored the roar for at least a week. But the Lions showed no signs of life in Atlanta.
Mitchell, short drop left, fires, picked off. This one may go the distance. Intercepted. Alton Montgomery to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5, and a touchdown. He takes it.
They fell to 3-6. And plunged further into the cellar of the NFC Central. The aftershocks from that defeat looked like the beginning of the end for head coach Wayne Fontes.
I've got a great relationship with my owner. He never came into me and gave me an ultimatum. If he were to give one, he would come to me and give me one. I read about it, I heard about it. It never bothered me, it never bothered our relationship, mine and my owner's. And it never bothered the team. We knew we were a better football team than we were playing, and it was just a matter of time, and we kind of caught fire.
One of the great understatements of the season.
Mitchell with the drop to throw, looking left all the way, fires open, Sloan, touchdown, Lions.
With a simplified offense in place, the Lions launched their bid to save the season.
They're going to run a fake reverse. Barry keeps it. Look out, far side 50. He's gone. They'll never catch him. Oh, man. 55 yards.
Detroit's chances of going to the playoffs still appeared slim and none. But slim never quit, and neither did the Lions, as they broke a 7-game road losing streak in Chicago. Antonio London, Tracy Scroggins, Ryan McNeil, Tracy Hayworth, Robert Porcher, and Henry Thomas all came up big when they had to.
Second down and 1. Tied at 10. Deep hand off Barry. 25. Breaks it near side. 20. 15. 10. Barry's gone. Touchdown. Lions. Barry Sanders.
And quarterback Don Majkowski just plain came up big. Filling in for an injured Scott Mitchell, the Magic Man threw for 161 yards and the game-winning touchdown. The 24-17 win wasn't exactly pretty, but the Lions' modest 2-game win streak kept their playoff hopes, however remote, still alive. All they could do was control their own destiny and win the remaining 5 games on their schedule. The Silverdome was sold out for Detroit's 56th annual Thanksgiving Day game. Over 70,000 fans and another national television audience were treated to a record-breaking offensive explosion, the likes of which had not been seen in Detroit in over a decade.
Backpedals on first down. He's got Barry out of the backfield, goes to the end zone for Perriman, and he's got it! Touchdown, Lions!
534 total yards, the 4th highest total in team history.
Oh, Johnny Morton! Oh, what a catch! Touchdown, Lions!
44 points, the most in a game since Thanksgiving Day of 1983.
Herman Moore got it, up for touchdown, Lions! Yes, touchdown!
With that, the Lions became the first team in 37 years to have 3 receivers and a running back with over 100 yards apiece in the same game. The top gun in Detroit's area of attack is a man who reached new heights in 1995, quarterback Scott Mitchell.
If you look at any football team that makes a great run in the end, check that position, the quarterback position. And Scott Mitchell for us just played a super last half of the season, and we ended up being the #1 offense team in football. And I think a lot of that is the quarterback.
The quarterback and 3 sensational receivers.
Back to throw.
Herman Moore, Brett Perriman,
diving grab,
and Johnny Morton.
Yard line. A diving grab.
Morton's ever-growing role in the Lions' offensive scheme produced 44 catches for 590 yards and 8 touchdowns. That made him a valuable addition to the most prolific receiving tandem in NFL history, Herman Moore and Brett Perriman. For number 80, no 2 catches are alike. He feels as comfortable going over the middle as he does in the open field. And this flexible approach helped him to his finest season ever. 108 catches for 1,488 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Fires over the middle, caught, getting away, Perriman to the 40, near side 30, he's going to take it. 20, 15, 10, 5, and...
Perriman creates an awesome challenge for any pass defense, especially when Herman Moore lines up on the other side. Number 84 has improved in each of his 5 seasons in Detroit. The reason is simple. The man works hard at his craft.
It's very important to be disciplined and to go out and dedicate yourself to getting better and understanding that the minute you start thinking you've reached your peak is the time you start to decline and you stop working as hard. So I go out and each year approach it that there's something I need to work on, and I dedicate myself to it. And because of that, I think it allows me to go out and maintain my self-confidence and enhance my talents.
Herman Moore enhanced his talents to the point of having one of the best seasons ever for a wide receiver.
Herman Moore up for it, got it, touchdown.
1,686 yards with an NFL record 123 catches. 90 of those catches produced first down. 14 more produced touchdowns. Between them, Moore and Perriman combined for 231 catches, 3,174 yards, and were the first teammates ever to catch more than 100 balls each in the same season.
Herman Moore, what a grab! Nobody does it better.
And with Johnny Morton coming into his own, they shape up as one terrific trio for the future. Yes, life was good, as the Bears found out in Week 14. The Detroit Lions saved their best football for the desperate days of December.
Dances away to the 40, to the 35. Herman gets free, and he takes it in. Touchdown Lions! Herman Moore, 47 yards, as he got away from 2 Chicago Bears.
Barry Sanders took it to the end zone as well, as the Lions began their inexorable march through December. Henry Thomas, Antonio London, Robert Porcher, and Tracy Scroggins all helped seal Detroit's 3rd straight Monday night win and marked their first season sweep of the Bears since 1983. The high-flying Lions continued to soar in Houston. On a major roll, the defense forced a season-high 6 turnovers and added 3 sacks. The win put the Lions another step closer to the playoffs, and much of the credit has to go to the defense. Despite the attention given the number 1 offense in the NFL, the defense had their share of support, and they deserve it. This was a unit that struggled early in the year, then came on to play a key role in the Lions' late season surge. Acquired as an unrestricted free agent, tackle Henry Thomas lived up to his advanced billing with a career-high 10.5 sacks. He also led the defensive line in tackle, and his leadership value cannot be measured. Thomas teamed with Robert Porcher to give the Lions an inside push they haven't had in years. At After 3 seasons at defensive end, Porcher moved to tackle in the Lions' new 4-man front. Number 91 sacrificed personal statistics, but the switch paid off for the good of the team. On the other side, linebacker turned defensive end Tracy Scroggins used his linebacker speed to pitch in with 9 sacks. The Lions upped their sack total from 28 in 1994 to 42 in 95. And much of that increase is due to the play of Porcher, Scroggins, Thomas, and rookie Luther Ellis, who started all 16 games. And in their last 9 contests, this swarming team defense forced 28 turnovers, including 15 in the final 3 games. The linebackers are a unit in transition, and while there's some reshuffling in store for 1996, a strong core remains. And as he has for the past 8 seasons, safety Benny Blades remained a force in the secondary. During the Lions' 7-game win streak, Corey Raymond, Ryan McNeil, Van Malone, and the rest of the Lions' defense allowed fewer points, fewer first downs, fewer total yards, and allowed opponents less time of possession. A dramatic improvement across the board.
Let's win this game. We have no letdowns. We can't have any letdowns the rest of this year. Everyone put forth an effort every single play.
On December 17th, it happened. Both the Lions' offense and defense played next to perfect games, and the Jacksonville Jaguars became the next victim of the Lions' 1995 comeback tour. Herman Moore and Brett Perriman made history when they became the most productive pass-catching tandem in NFL history.
Something. Hey, you know, my mama be proud right now.
Johnny Morton's mama was proud too.
Morton and a great catch by Johnny Morton.
And Mrs. Rivers was proud when her son Ron scored his first touchdown as a Lion.
Rivers cuts it in. Touchdown, Lions. Ron Rivers takes it in, and that is his first touchdown.
And a whole lot of mamas were bursting with pride as the Detroit defense set their sights on a shutout. Defensive backs Corey Raymond, Ryan McNeil, and Van Malone all had interceptions. Then with 4th and goal late in the game, Robert Porcher and Scott Kowalkowski preserved the shutout as the Lions recorded the most lopsided regular season win in team history. Just one more game stood between the Lions and a guaranteed spot in the playoffs.
I gave it to you. Gave it to you. I'll see you in Tampa next Saturday. Tampa, you have a problem, Tampa.
Indeed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a problem.
Dilfer back. Dilfer fumbles. Picked up on a hop by Tracy Scroggins.
Tracy Scroggins posted the Lions' only defensive touchdown of the year as Detroit ran out to a 17-0 lead. The defense forced 4 more turnovers and didn't allow a touchdown until the final period. Meanwhile, behind first-time Pro Bowl center Kevin Glover, the Lions registered over 400 total yards for the 7th time in 1995.
To the 40, 30, and he takes it in. Touchdown, Lions, 91 yards.
The Lions' 7th straight win marked their longest streak in 33 years and completed what was perhaps the most remarkable turnaround in the 62-year history of the franchise. At that point, the only drama left was played out by Herman Moore, who set his sights on the all-time record for catches in a season. With his 123rd reception firmly tucked away, Moore called it a day. And the Lions concluded one of the most improbable seasons in their history. Every new season begins with more questions than answers. Back in September, no one was certain how the Lions season would pan out. But there were a few things that everyone in the organization could count on: death, taxes, and Barry Sanders. For 7 glorious seasons, Barry's low-key, laid-back manner belies the level of energy he cuts loose on game day. This 5-foot 8-inch giant of a runner turns your average end run into a double-crossing, cut-backing, zigzagging sprint. Like fireworks on the 4th of July, just when you think you've seen the best display, a better one comes along. It's no wonder that Barry is worshipped in the state of Michigan. His style is timeless. His lines are clean. His accomplishments unsurpassed.
How do you describe Barry? Phenomenal, unique, disciplined, leadership. He's in a class by himself. He does so many things so well, and just when you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen anything.
And Barry hitting the backfield, gets away from Schmingy on the sweep for the touchdown.
Barry Sanders, by all rights, should have lost 5 yards on that play. But Barry Sanders is not your average back.
Because no average back remains the cornerstone of every offense his team has designed for the past 7 years.
Barry Sanders breaks it off the right side.
Because no average back has rushed for 1,000 yards in each of his first 7 seasons.
Brother, 50 yards for Barry Sanders to pay dirt.
Because no average back became just the 10th player in NFL history to go over 10,000 yards in a career. And all this in just 7 seasons. For Barry Sanders, the final tally for 1995. 1,500 yards rushing, 48 catches for another 398 yards, 12 touchdowns, and a 7th straight Pro Bowl season. Is there anyone in the NFL more worthy of shameless adulation than number 20? Not likely. He's a guy you can count on year after year. Barry Sanders, a force of one. As has become his custom, Barry provided Lions fans with another season of unforgettable runs.
He's gone! Barry Sanders, 47 yards down the...
Veterans like Barry Sanders, Herman Moore, and returning Pro Bowl center Kevin Glover provide nothing but inspiration for younger players like Ron Rivers, the Lions Special Teams Player of the Year. For all-rookie team member David Sloan, who emerged as the Lions' tight end of the future. And for defensive tackles Shane Bonham and Mike Wells. The future of the Lions defense is promising as well, and made its point by improving in virtually every defensive category. The Lions draft for character, and character they've got. With a roster full of talent, including the offseason acquisition of Pro Bowl return specialist Glenn Milburn, they've laid the groundwork. And come September, the Detroit Lions will again prepare for takeoff and take flight.
The Lions haven't fared well in the playoffs under Wayne Fontes, but in the 1950s, they were one of the decade's dominant teams, advancing to the championship game 4 times and recording the greatest comeback win in team history. But before returning to the 50s, let's look at number 20, a famous number in Lion history, worn proudly by another great running back before Barry Sanders.
It's Barry. Hand off Barry. Hand off Barry.
Today, Barry Sanders is the Lion King. But all the Detroit records he currently holds once belonged to another back with similar initials and the same number 20, Billy Sims.
You know, I was honored when Coach asked me that I want to have the same jersey number, that I was considered an equal or being compared with Billy Sims, because he was a great back. And I was growing up in Kansas when I first saw him, because my father was the hugest OU fan in the world, and so he could tell you every OU running back for the last 20 years. And so obviously at the top of that list would be Billy Sims.
Billy had it all. Billy had the strength, the size, the great speed, and the running ability, plus the mental and physical toughness. He just was the bigger, the stronger, the faster of all the backs I ever had, so that made him the best.
The Heisman Trophy winner was eventually selected by the lowly Lions as the first pick in the 1980 draft.
Well, at first when they said Detroit was going to draft, I was like, Detroit? No, it was 2-14. I knew the record. And coming out my rookie year, I was sort of a little older than most rookies coming out at 24. And I knew then that I didn't have a lot of years to play professional football. So about a week after I was there, they made it real clear. Coach Clark threw me into the frying pan immediately. So I challenged that. I wanted that. I wanted to carry the workload, whatever I could do to help turn this franchise around.
We went to L.A. to open up his rookie year, and he just literally exploded. And I had never seen anything like it. And he kept coming back to the huddle and saying, they're tiring out, give me the ball. And he just ran and ran. And that first game, he put on a show that we just couldn't believe. He really elevated our team from, we only won 2 games the year before, to a legitimate contender in 1 game. Once we saw we had him, it made our whole offense.
And the first game was just phenomenal. And that's when he did that airplane thing and came into the end zone and put his arms out and swooped down, and it was neat. The little hair stood in the back of your neck, and you knew you were part of something that was really happening.
The airplane? I don't know. They had a dance in Detroit after that. It was funny. I saw a guy in a nightclub one time doing the airplane. I said, hey, that's my dance.
I can still see him on the goal line, levitating and going over the top. He seemed like he could get 6 or 7 feet in the air over the linebackers trying to hit him at the line of scrimmage. There's no reason why he shouldn't be listed among the great runners. We didn't have much of a passing game, but we were so far ahead of everybody a few of those years when I was there with Billy running the ball that we were number 1 in offense, way ahead of everybody without a passing game. He was a great cutback runner, a toss sweep. Nobody ran it any better than he did. He was a threat to go all the way every time he touched the football.
Sims' running made the Lions winners, while his character and decency earned him the love and respect of his teammates.
I had a daughter that died a Thursday before a big game against the Green Bay Packers, and was forced to miss practice Thursday and Friday and Saturday for that, and still decided to play the game Sunday. And Billy was in the huddle saying, just get me the ball, I'll win it for you. And we threw him a short little pass, and he took it all the way, and he came back and said, I dedicated that game to you. And we won the game, and he just, the whole game, he was just on fire.
And he was the workhorse. He was the rallying point, and he was the guy. He was the team for that number of years, and never really complained, never really played to his hardest extent, and played injured. And those things, after a while, they accumulate and they add up. And he played through it, and being the workhorse for that many years, it catches up to you.
Here comes Billy on a sweep right behind Greco. Looks for some blocking, and is knocked tied to the ground by Ashley. But is he hurt? Billy Sims holding his right knee. And Billy is in some kind of pain.
And I knew then, I never had pain like that in my life. And when I hurt my knee, I never will forget. So, well, how you feel? You say, I said, no, I feel great. I was fortunate to do it. And the guy was next to me didn't have any knees or legs at all. I said, he the one got problems, not me. I have established myself as an athlete and a guy that left Oklahoma with my education, my degree. Life's been great. I have no complaints at all.
Sims retired to his Texas ranch, but returned to Detroit when his successor began a run on Billy's team records.
He has the new rookie rushing record, breaking Billy Sims' mark. They will stop play, and out comes Billy Sims. Cameras clicking away.
As Billy Sims hold up Barry Sanders' hand and says, this guy's the winner.
I think most fans can still look back and appreciate the Billy Sims era. You know, one day I'll be sitting back watching somebody else surpass all my records.
Tied for first in the Western Conference at the end of the 1957 season, the Lions and 49ers met in a playoff to determine who would play Cleveland in the NFL championship game.
We had never won in the National Football League, a championship. Obviously, it was very, very important. Now we had a chance to bring something in the title to the city, and we thought we had the team to do that.
And it was a team that suddenly everybody thought they could not lose because if something would happen that they would win in the final moments. RC would catch the pass, or Tittle would throw it, or McElhenney would run it, and something would happen that they would win.
The wounded Lions were not nearly as well equipped, entering the playoff with their entire offensive backfield hobbled by injuries.
Bobby Lane broke his ankle late in the season. So we were missing Bobby. John Henry Johnson, our great running back, we missed him. Hopalong Cassidy was out. So we had people in there that had to come up and play big in that particular game in order to beat the 49ers.
Instead, it appeared as if Detroit hadn't even bothered to show up, as the 49er attack took the Lions apart.
We were very confident about that game. We came out in Kezar Stadium smoking, and we were ahead at the halftime we went in. It was 24-7.
Everybody was in tune. I mean, the offense was playing great football. We were sharp. Defense was playing really well. We knew we were a machine that first half.
The fans were saying, wait a minute, they don't have to come from behind. They've got this thing locked up, and it looked for all the world like they did.
There was more drinking in the stadium. They had to set a record that day. They were just, everybody was celebrating. You could hear champagne corks going off and everything else that when we were running into the tunnel to the dressing room.
In Kezar Stadium, the walls were paper thin between the dressing room and the 49er guys were really celebrating.
And then you'd hear through the wall, they say, well, where we spend our championship money, I'm gonna get a new car. You could hear all this stuff going on in the locker room.
The public address announcer was announcing if anybody's interested in obtaining championship tickets, they would be on sale the following week. So I got the guys and I said, they're selling championship tickets already. And I said, well, the game's not even over. I said, that's exactly how they feel about you. Let's go out and play a tough second half and see what can happen.
At the start of the second half, McElhenney ran some 70 yards down to the 7-yard line of the Lions, and the 49ers could not score a touchdown. They had to settle for a field goal. That made it 27-7. Still looked like a safe bet, but as it turned out, it wasn't.
I think when we stopped them, that first drive and the opening kickoff of the second half, I think that was a turning point of the game when they did not score. If they'd have scored then, no way we could have come back.
All of our defensive backs started getting knocked out of the game. We only had 33 players on the team at that time. So who are we going to put? Well, J.D. Smith, he's running back, so he has the speed. Let him play. Poor J.D. went out there not knowing what the hell to do. In the second half, they had put in Tobin Rote as the quarterback, and they just scored at will.
And Tom Tracy played, to my knowledge, played the best game that he's ever played that day. He was kind of a squatty power runner, but boy, he was letting it all hang out that day.
I don't know, he just started bouncing off of him. Just nobody really got a good shot at him, and I don't know whether maybe the 49ers let down the second half. Who knows? After we got 2 touchdowns, come back, it was just all going our way now.
It was a coach's decision to sit on the lead and not throw the ball, just run it and try to control it, because we did have some great runners, but the running game wasn't going that well, so we probably should have kept throwing the ball.
And that's the ball game. With an unbelievable comeback, Detroit's Never Say Die Lions defeat San Francisco 31-27 to capture the Western Conference Championship.
In the locker room after the game, probably you want to say that was probably the most jubilant that I recall of any team I ever played with as far as winning a ball game.
And I talked to some of the players that played on that team, the 49er players. They don't like to talk about it. I mean, it still hurts. Nobody wants to talk about it. And it's hard for me to talk about it.